Hello, friends.
Hello, hello. A lot going on this morning.
You know it, brother.
Well, had a great presentation. God, just dropping my phone. Great presentation. Last meeting.
Good.
That compiler stuff was amazing.
Yeah, Erickson did a great job. And I'm excited to finally see that project rolling. I'm excited about the research.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about this call. Lots of good stuff. It's a good time to be involved in open source.
It's a great time to be involved with open source, actually. Great time.
Indeed.
Yeah. Just finishing up the first half of the morning.
Oh, first half of the morning.
First half of the I get up at 3:30.
Oh, wow.
This is the first half. Yeah.
Every day?
Well, except for Saturday and Sunday, that's 5:30.
You are a stronger, more dedicated man than I.
I just can't sleep. I mean, that's the long and short of it. I try as hard as I can too, especially Saturday and Sunday. I get restless. I gotta get up.
Well, just wait till we're working on Vex. You'll have even less time.
Yeah, anything that can fill an insomniac's schedule.
Right, I guess everyone just put their names in. I dropped in the agenda down. And if you have any opens, go ahead and add those in as well.
With the list, I will get that to you tomorrow because I had to go through like tech organizations that have a DEI component and then DEI components. And then I also want to make sure I had the conference list on there. So I got like one or two things to run down and I will have that uploaded by close of business tomorrow. I just wanted to finish checking a couple things to see who was already working with each other versus which groups were kind of out there. So took a little bit longer than I thought. So I will have that in there. I know I'm a little delinquent, but I will get it to you.
Okay. All right, we could probably get started. Anyone, any new? I think everyone here seen them before. But is anyone willing to help scribe? All right, thank you, Crow. All right, I did drop a couple of open items, but if you have anything that you want to add that you want to discuss, go ahead and add it to the opens. All right, so did have some couple of things that we wanted to discuss, and if anything new comes up as well. But as of last, one of the action items or one of the things we talked about is potentially heading into the Open Source Summit in North America, having a talk, and we wanted to do a birds of a feather session. So let me share my screen so that I didn't want to share my whole screen. Let me just share my document. All right, so here we've got our, in the link, we got like a birds of a feather. And this I dropped it into, there's a open source summit North America where all of the OpenSSF talks are being aggregated, and towards the end added one related to the birds of a feather session. So would love to spend a little bit of time going through this. It's pretty short. If anyone has any feedback of what we could, and then we could potentially submit it because the deadline is this Saturday, I believe, the 5th. Yeah. The 5th of February. So we can just kind of walk through it. Okay, go ahead, Pro.
Initial feedback, I think the content is good. You're gonna probably need to trim it because there's a word limit I ran into yesterday when I
Oh.
submitted 2 others.
Okay, all right. So we'll probably need to cut some. What is the word limit? Some of them look pretty long, so I'm like, okay, those other ones are long. So.
Yeah, we had to trim everyone I've submitted. I've had to do some trimming. I'm too wordy.
Okay, all right. Maybe we can look into what you think is good to keep.
If you want to wait, I'll go back to the site and submit something, and I'll let you know what the limit is again.
Okay, all right. All right, so the content seems okay. Anyone else has any other feedback on what we should say or keep? And just to remind folks, the goal was to go to different conferences and have sessions where we get feedback from folks on what they do want to this group or this initiative to focus on. So hopefully that's captured in here. All right. All right, if there's no other feedback on that. Oh, the other question we had is for this birds of a feather session, I had listed Jay and myself. Anyone else who wants to be a part of it, who is going to be there, that could potentially co-facilitate the session?
I'm glad to show up and be your audience straight guy.
Okay, gotcha. Definitely love to have you there. All right. And then the next action item, I think Nicole said you're going to put together that DEI partner organization and contacts. So looking forward to that. I guess the question is, you can always share it in the Slack channel. Are you are in the Slack channel? Nicole?
Yes, I am on the Slack channel, so I'll put it in the Slack channel.
Okay, perfect. We can look through it, and anyone else who has any other ones that they want to add to whichever list you put together, we can add to that, but we can also look at it in the next meeting, but definitely continue to add to that list.
Yeah, I see it as a living list because I don't know if I got everybody. So I'm just trying to do at least a thorough scrub to have stuff there. I also tried to look what other people had, and I was like, oh, this is interesting.
It is. Okay. All right, so looking forward to that list. And then we wanted to kind of maybe just dive into a little bit of some of like, what are the short term and the midterm? Again, this is the goal to see what we want to work on in 2023 primarily. And we had started in the last meeting going through some of the items in here, and we targeted short term, we said 30 days, midterm 60 days. Long term was 90 to 180. I haven't put that in the list here, but wanted to just maybe dive into what we want to deliver sort of in the next month, and then what we want to do in the next couple of months, just to kind of start in on those. So one of the first things is that the Open Source Summit talks, and as I said, we've got that CFP that we are going to be dropping in, and we don't know it yet, but potentially if there's an Open SSF day, we could potentially speak about what the subcommittee has been working on. And is that something that, Crow, that you think we would need to put into a proposal for the Open SSF or something different? Just kind of
They'll put a call out. It'll probably be on Slack. Jennifer Blythe will be in charge of that. And we're talking about that now. It's Bellendorf is talking to the governing board this week if they are going to have an open SSF day or not. There's some conversation just because of the economic conditions that members might not send a lot of folks. So it's still up for debate, but if they have it, I'll make sure I'll jump on Jennifer to make sure she reaches out to this group to make sure we're included. Because I think it'll be a really interesting topic and be able to share, here's our plan, what does everybody think, and who wants to help out.
Okay. All right. I guess if it does not happen and we still want to share the plan, anyone have thoughts on where best to do that in a more?
There is an upcoming Open SSF town hall. I haven't heard anything about it in about a week, but I can ask Jennifer about specifics. So if we had something prepared, we definitely could put a slide or two in there and have you and Jay and the team come talk at that town hall, which has pretty big exposure. You'll get a couple hundred views on that.
Okay. How often do the town halls happen? Oh, it's like not really regularly scheduled.
It used to be quarterly and then it
Okay.
kind of slid off. I think they're going to do 2 a year.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Yeah, so I guess we would probably want to, even if it's just an announcement of what we are, we could potentially do that. Okay. All right, so wait to hear. That might be a good one to do as well. Oh, Jay, you're back.
Was on the phone, had to switch to the computer.
Okay, gotcha. Then another thing that we wanted to do in terms of the short term is just basically look at who are the partners in the communities that we want to work with. And with Nicole kind of putting this list together, that's going to be like a starting point for looking at that. But partnerships is broader than the nonprofits that we want to work with. So probably start thinking about what does that mean.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you're saying targeting groups, are we, I know we had said specifically, I guess some of the initial stuff, I thought we were looking at the college age kids, or were we actually talking about which groups make up the diversity? Or both, or I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah, that's a good question. Anyone have thoughts? I don't remember if we kind of like scoped it down in any way. And are we gonna like try to match it with what the education SIG plan was? I remember there was like, if I recall in that plan, there was also some thoughts about like who we were going to be initially targeting. Crow?
We could either echo what's in the plan. We can have our own list. We can change the plan. So we have a lot of options. Really, it kind of depends on the energy we want. You know, who if we have members that are interested and able to assist us. We had a list of a handful of organizations like Girls Who Code and a couple others. But if we had better examples or if we had relationships with organizations, I'm fine changing the plan or having a different list. It's kind of whatever we can capture folks' time and energy on.
Yeah, I think I think we're in a very unique position here where we can, well, dare I say, scope it in such a way where different pieces of education can fit different target groups, right? So for instance, if we're looking at Girls Who Code or Code 2040 or one of those organizations that really target in on the younger demographic into the college age student, right? So then we can set upon those organizations to bring, you know, whether it be job readiness, whether it be career knowledge, resume writing, or you know, or just blatant, hey, this is how you code, these are coding fundamentals or something like that, right? So we can go from coding fundamentals and teaching teaching secure coding practices or providing that kind of stuff, and then we can as the age increases, right, getting into college age, so does what we're focusing our blocks of instruction on. So I think this can be as dynamic as we want it to be, really, right? And the more members we have, and the more people and the more organizations we have that are willing to invest, whether it be time, funding, etc., so does our ability to reach a larger audience. This could potentially be a play for a larger organizational presence. But like I said, we really have it's really dynamic in nature. We could pretty much do whatever we like in this regard. Scoped correctly, of course, right? It means we set our short, mid, long-term agendas, and then we take it quarter by quarter, year by year, right?
Yeah. And depending on whatever the age group is, we could always look at the content, because there's a couple of things. There's like the organizations who reach certain demographics, and they will potentially say that they're working with these. But then in addition to that, the content should be like appropriate, or at least digestible or consumable by people in those groups. And so we may or may not have the content ready. So it could be like something that then feeds back into the previous EDU SIG plan in terms of like the content. Because it may or may not have content. If somebody's like in high school, they may or may not have content for security that really directly applies to it. But like you said, it could be just introduction to coding. Then how do you talk about security in intros and things of that nature? Okay. So does that, I'm not sure if that answered your question, Nicole. I guess we said it depends.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I agree with your answer.
Okay.
I guess, and I don't know, I guess as I'm looking at your agenda and things that we're targeting, like I said, I know there's a lot of talk about college, but I think given a lot of things going on now, maybe, and I looked at the overall education plan, and it has stuff, I would say kind of 3 categories, right? The high school, below, college age, and then grown folks, with people starting and then people already working, right?
Yes.
So I don't know, to me, if that's one of our target areas, is to, I think maybe starting with age might be a little easier, right? Since we're inclusive of every group, right? I don't see anything that would limit what would make up the diversity. But I don't know, I would say something to maybe eventually, get all 3 groups, but I would definitely say start with the college and the grown folks first.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right, yeah, definitely part of our work is trying to scope it and see what we can start off and chew. And if it matches with some of the stuff or the material that's already out there, it might be a lot easier to kind of get things going. All right, another thing that we wanted to talk about short term is in terms of like outreach, and how do we create a market plan to reach the folks that we want to. And I guess it goes back to like, who is our audience? And therefore from there, we would know how do we want to reach those potential. And some of this could come from like our partnerships and what types of marketing, there are marketing channels that I have available. But this is one thing that we also wanted to look into in the short term. And it could be things like, which conferences do we go and attend if we want to get the word out, or how do we, so this is just like another thing that we wanted to do short term. I'm not sure how to best drill into that in terms of like, how we, if anyone has any thoughts about like, how do we actually plan for this, we'd love to hear them. But this is kind of like not my area of expertise.
I think at least from my perspective, the conferences are a little easier for me to approach because that's the world I live in. I don't have a lot of contacts within academia. I have a couple, and I'm going to reach out to some professors that I think would be a good fit for kind of collaborating with this group.
Mhm.
But I think conferences, we could put down a list of things, whether it's developer focused or InfoSec or open source, and just kind of have a calendar. And then we can say, we can review them and say, we understand that, these groups have a presence here or not, or we want to try to bring particular audience to this conference. We can kind of target that. I have a spreadsheet somewhere that kind of generically talked about industry security conferences. And I had things like the Diana Initiative and WESIS, but there may be other conferences that we want to target. So let me track that spreadsheet down, and that can at least be a start. And then we
Yeah.
can try to go through that. And if there's anything there, we definitely can submit things like the birds of a feather talk or panel talks. Or, once we have content, we could potentially go in and provide training saying, hey, we're targeting college level students. So if you're part of that group, come, we're going to do a training on, X or Y topic. We could potentially get to that point.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. And I know somebody had dropped a link in the last meeting about academia type conferences. See if I found it here. So there was these conferences that were, this is like a list of all of the conferences that were going on, and potentially these could be like some potential conferences that might be good to attend. That's last year. But there's some ones coming up like National K-12 Cybersecurity Leadership Conference, Black Hat Spring Trainings. So I guess those are possibilities as well.
Well, and I haven't looked, but normally Black Hat, DEF CON, B-Sides, Vegas, those are great conferences for kind of researchers and people newly entering the industry. So maybe we want to think about being more aggressive in our timeline to try to get things prepared to submit there and be there and kind of have a presence to try to recruit folks and help share what resources we have.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those are, I mean, if we can get in, those would be excellent places to give a talk first before you start talking to folks. You don't want, Black Hat and DEF CON are not places where you just want to walk up on people. Like, just, that's, oh God, that is not the, you give a talk and then you almost want them to approach you.
Okay. All right.
I
Now
do
we'll
like the policy, Rob.
Go ahead, Nicole.
I do think maybe B-Sides it's probably a good approach. And also I don't know, I guess, how we would factor with people on this committee and who's where, especially at getting at some of the local ones to try and help with some of that.
Okay, that's true.
Because I know we're spread out actually internationally. I don't see Max, but he's in the UK. But so I don't know if our scope is it's focus here first, or also leverage where we have some international people able to do some things and then kind of bring it back. But I definitely like C. Rob's approach about definitely at least attacking B-Sides, because that's really a lot of the focus with B-Sides.
Okay. All right, so we've got a kind of like a seed idea of like where we would want to go. And I guess the next question would be like, what material or content would we have with us, and how do we prepare for that? Because if I recall, in one of the EDU SIG plans, there was something related to getting material or training content in a form that could be taken to conferences, but I don't think that's there yet, and I don't think that those teams are working on that material yet. So we'll probably have to create our own. But that might
You know,
take
it
some,
seems like we gotta think about creating some type of marketing content depending on wherever we're gonna go and pitch, and then training content or some type of educational content depending upon the target group that we actually reach. See, this is a lot of work that's getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
Needs to happen simultaneous too. Like it needs to happen in parallel.
yeah,
Hands in. I mean, I'm better at I'm not good at marketing at all. I'm not good at marketing at all. My talk is way too straight for all that. I don't know how to, but I'm good at talking to people. I'm just not good at marketing something.
okay,
So I can serve where I can serve, but putting my hands on training material, I think I'm a little bit better with curriculums.
okay, okay. So there's that marketing content development, and there's also like that basic training or curriculum development. And so we probably need some folks to kind of help and volunteer for those two efforts. Yeah. And even if we don't have anyone for the marketing, we hopefully can find somebody who can help out with that marketing. Yeah.
May I ask if you're sorry, Cobb,
No, please go ahead, Abhishek.
Thanks. May I ask if the training material you are referring to is somehow different, or may it be viewed as the same as the education content which is planned under the education SIG? For instance, security knowledge framework, etc.
Yeah, we were thinking that that's where the material could come from, but it may also need to be either looked at and see if it's in a form that might fit the audience that we're going for. But that was what I was thinking that some of the content would come from. All right, so Crow said that Judy from Red Hat got like some folks, so we could potentially see if we can get them to help out with some of like the content or at least the marketing. That's a good one.
Yeah, so my day job is communications, so I definitely can help out massaging any materials and literature, and then we can reach out to Jen Bly, who is formerly LF marketing. So once we're ready, we can kind of get her assistance as well. I'm sure Jory would also be interested in helping. She's one of the OpenSSF leads. So again, I think we'll be able to get people. We'll just need to have an idea of what we're interested in presenting, and then we can help massage it and get it ready.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that'll help. So we've got lots of folks that potentially we'll just reach out to with whatever the content that we have available.
Also remember, I think Alpha Omega is working on something already, and Jasenia, she's not here today, but just Jasenia had something that's supposed to be kicking off in September.
This coming September.
This coming September, right? So I think that might be something that we can add to, and that would be a short-term add to too. I mean, if we can add to it, we'll add to it. It's something that's short-term, quick win for this group to get involved with whatever initiative they're doing, because they're doing it with colleges. Alpha Omega is, and that could be something that we bring internally here. And I know Jasenia was talking about that before. Only bringing it up because she actually brought it to the group with her when we initially started.
That is true. So she's not on the call today, but it would be interesting to find out if she has been able to get the audience that she needs, or if some of the work that we're doing and trying to reach out to these different partnerships could help. Okay.
In the Slack, I know somebody put something in there about mentoring, and there seems to be a developed plan for mentoring. And then I'm just going to go at some of the already obvious hanging fruit. There are several other subcommittees. Is it possible we could just do initiatives focused on recruiting people to help with some of the other committees? to increase that performance. I think that's really great, low hanging fruit.
That's
Um,
excellent.
I know I started with this group, but I'll be honest, I originally joined to volunteer to do some stuff with the scorecard because I've been doing vulnerability management and combining it and just watching disaster after disaster. So, but then I saw this group and I joined too, but I'm thinking, especially if we're going to be at conferences and stuff, to be an active recruiting arm for all of the different committees, and trying to focus and get people in there and also get feedback to make sure it's a more inclusive environment. Okay, that's my little pitch.
Yeah, excellent idea. Yeah, I really like that because especially when we start to kind of form a network and have the folks, we could then send them or have them join some of like the different subcommittees and the work that's ongoing. Yeah, I really like that idea. Okay, so that might look like just even visiting some of the other working groups and subcommittees and just letting them know that we exist, so that marketing even within the Open SSF working groups, it sounds like a great idea. So you're saying, so I guess it might be interesting to kind of figure out what are the different other working groups. So you're saying you're attending scorecards. I know some of us attend quite a few other ones. So we could probably just have like a little short presentation on who we are, and the same thing that could happen and show up in the town hall and just circulate those internally. And look, seems like that would be like a short-term or midterm type of activity. Any other thoughts? These great ideas coming up. All right, and midterm, even though it says 60 days, seems like in 60 days, it was like if we had a chance to talk to some of our folks, I guess this was the idea that we've gone to the conferences, we've done these birds of a feather type sessions, and now we are using some of the feedback to inform our plans. I guess it says 60 days, then I mean, May is not 60 days from here, so I'm not sure what the timing of midterm is, but that's kind of like the idea. But after that midterm, once we went to some of these sessions, we would also want to get more folks coming to these meetings as well and providing input. So that's part of like what it is that we want to do in the midterm. And then with another thing we spoke about is that in either each one of our companies, et cetera, or even within the Open SSF, there might be upcoming funding cycles where we might start thinking of like 2 or 3 projects that we know we would need funding, and we start to ask for those types of funding. So those are what we had listed thus far in terms of the midterm. But if it's anything based on what we've discussed today that you think we would add to that, Crow?
I think another midterm option, we mentioned that we have a lot of company representation. We have Intel has a significant amount of women engineers and people from global backgrounds and different backgrounds and communities. So I would like to reach out internally to Intel to kind of promote this group, and maybe we try to potentially recruit mentors through our internal contacts. We have some strong engineering folks that might be willing to assist to work with college kids or people just getting started out. So maybe we can help boost our network, so to speak, by recruiting internally.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, and that was one of the things that I know I've chatted with Jay. Can we get more people in some of those groups internally, either participating in these environments, but also just signing them up as mentors for some of the work or the projects that we do? That would be really good. Any other thoughts?
So I guess I'm thinking, once we, I guess, take a look internally, I think that can help influence some of our marketing material that we would use to go out to people and
Mhm.
just kind of tie that better. So then we have our internal and at least external components that we're looking at. I guess
Yeah.
after I get the list and we look through some of the things, at least what Yasing is doing with Alpha Omega and some other things. So then it kind of looks like we have an inward and outward approach
Mhm.
with going
Yeah.
forward, trying to pull that together, I guess. Not really bringing any new ideas, but just trying to bring in to meet some of these things that are on the agenda.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so once we know, like, for example, Alpha Omega, they may or may not need some mentors. So we could link them up together. Is that what you're referring to, Nicole?
Well, not just mentors, right? Because I'm assuming internally when we outreach to the other committees, I'm sure they're taking volunteers and I'm sure they might need some people, right? So, kind of specifically kind of what are some areas that you're looking in, or, you need other people to help out and do certain things. So if we're at, let's say, I don't know, a B-sides and we're there talking to people, we have specific things where we can refer them to, because all the committees, they already have documents and Slack channels and things already up that people can jump in and read and get involved with. And as far as for tracking and metrics, that's something that we can say, hey, look, we're out here actively recruiting as we're developing partnerships with other organizations, because some of them might have members and they might be able to provide people to help join in. And that will also help spread some of the work here, but then also help us get more people involved who can help out and strengthen up those partnerships.
Gotcha. Thanks. Yeah, that'll be very useful. So some of the material that can actually attract people to join and help, both internally at our companies or externally. Yeah. So for some of the work that we're planning to do, we probably need to at least put names of people to help out with some of this material. And I know we've talked about, like, Judy and some of the folks within the Open SSF that can help, but they're not here, so we can't really volunteer them without their being here. So what should we do, Croak? Should we just put something and do kind of like a reach out and talk to them and see if they're willing to help?
Twofold. There's two things I think we can do. If we're interested in kind of project managery tools, we're going to do X thing with Y people. I can get like a Kanban board set up as part of our working group that we can potentially do items on a Kanban board. So we can say, hey, Christine's working on this and Crobe's working on that and Jay's working on this other thing. And then as to the second part, like reaching out to people, I would say let's get our ask kind of formulated, and let's send emails or approach people on Slack this or next week. Let's not, again, we're inclined to action here. Let's we have a list to cut some folks. Let's reach out and start asking for people's time and contributions.
Okay, sounds good. Where does the Kanban go? It's just going to be part of, like, the project on GitHub?
It can be, yeah. If that's a style of thing we want to use to organize ourselves. So like we have a bunch of little projects, like we want to make the presentation for the town hall, and we want to do outreach to other mentorship programs within the LF. So we can sit down and kind of make those cards on the Kanban board if we want, if that's a way we want to organize ourselves. It just kind of, I work a little better if I have a queue of work I can look at, because there are 1,000 Google documents with assorted action items for me across the foundation, and I take some notes. But
that might work. That might work, especially if you want to say point people at, okay, this is where you can go look at a Where do you want to sign up for things? Okay, I like that. Okay,
I'll reach out to Khalil and get that set up.
all right. Are there any other like midterm? And I think this will kind of like evolve as we go along and we do more. But if there's anything that you think we should add to our midterm goals, and I don't think it's 60 days, it feels more like 60 to 3 to 6 months for the midterm.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay, any other opens or things that are top of mind for folks?
And if we want to, like, kind of for the outreach, if we want to toss a couple sentences either in this document or in the Slack, we can kind of iterate over that until we have our, what we're looking to seek right. And then, I'll be glad to reach out to Judy. I'll be glad to reach out to Jennifer. And as we identify other folks, we can kind of just use that same core messaging.
Okay, so, sounds good. All right. And then what I'll do after this is I'll just like shorten the CFP and I'll like basically go ahead and try to submit it. And for now, it's just going to be me and Jay, unless anyone else. I guess we could always add people later, and I'm assuming.
Well, and that's a technical thing. I screwed up yesterday. I hit the wrong button. So you can have the options would be a single presenter, a co-presenter, or a panel.
Okay.
So if it's going to be you and Jay leading the conversation, you would start off saying, I'm the presenter, and then it should ask you, is there another presenter? And you would hit the button. You can add Jay's details, and you'll need a short bio and some contact information, some kind of statistics about, what Jay's title is and what his email is, that type of stuff.
Okay.
And it's pretty, so if you have questions, I'm around. I have to go record 2 podcasts, but if you have questions, I can help try to answer anything via Slack as you do that. It's not hard.
Okay. No, I did it for last year, so it should be pretty straightforward. So I guess I'll just ping you, Jay, for your bio after this. Try to get it out there. All right. Okay. If there is nothing else, really want to thank everyone for joining this call and really giving us some good things that we can go ahead and start working on. Looking forward to this. All right. Have a good rest of your day. I'm not sure where everyone is.
You too. Jay disappeared when he had to send over his bio.
And you give him work and he runs away.
I know. That's right. All right.
You got witnesses, Christine. You got witnesses.
We did. Take care.
Have a good day.
Bye.